Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the HITEC Transform.ed Series, sponsored by Thoughtworks. My name is Marcelo De Santis, Chief Digital Officer of Thoughtworks North America, and I will be your moderator today. Both HITEC and Thoughtworks believe that knowledge should be shared openly, so we have designed this series to provide you with the opportunity to learn directly from C-level executives about their personal experience in leading the transformation of their organizations. For today's interview, it's my pleasure and privilege to introduce Gabriela Cadenas, Senior Vice President, Digital and Technology for Heineken Americas. Gabriela is a technology and business executive with 20 plus years of experience in leading business transformation in Fortune 500 global organizations across many industries like consulting, telecommunications, financial services, pharma, and FMCG. She has a solid track record of accelerating company growth by combining emerging technologies, business process optimization, and shared services. Gabriela strongly believes in the power of cultivating a collaborative team culture focused on delivering practical business results, profitable revenue, satisfied customers, and engaged employees and business partners. Gabriela is well recognized for leading strategic technology innovation to grow top and bottom line of different organizations. Gabriela, welcome, and thanks for making the time to be with us.
It's my pleasure, Marcelo. Thank you for the welcoming.
So let's dive in with the first question, Gabriela. Let's start talking about the transformation you are leading at Heineken. What are mainly the business outcomes that you're trying to achieve, and why is this so relevant for your organization?
So Heineken is on the journey to become the best connected brewer. And as you know, Heineken has always been strong at connections. We are very close to our consumers. We understand what they want. We understand how we serve them. And we also understand our customers. We have what we call a country-centric model. So we are very close to our customers and consumers. But in a world that is moving more to online, this is no longer enough. So we need to be better connected. And we call it the best connected brewer. It goes beyond Heineken. Our consumers are expecting to understand what is the carbon footprint of the product that I'm consuming. Our customers, they want more than just ordering online. They want to understand how they can improve their performance. What else can they do? What is the competition doing? And they want it all at the same time. But at the same time, even our vendors, they want to understand what is the performance of their product, their raw material, or everything in our product on real time. So for us, we have the responsibility to actually be able to connect and provide that visibility to everyone in an enjoyable way. So what we're doing to become the best connected brewery, two main things at the same time. One is digitizing our road to consumer, but at the same time, modernizing and simplifying our systems and applications and technology landscape in general. Of course, 70% of the value comes from digitizing the route to consumer, but 75% of the effort comes from the other side, and probably is the one that not everyone sees. So that is a little bit of what we're doing in our journey to actually become the best connected brewer.
Excellent. I like the concept of, the best connected brewer. I don't know how many CPG companies in your category might be thinking about this, but it's pretty inspiring and cool to see that. Gabriela, in this journey of becoming the best connected brewer, what are the main challenges that you're facing? You mentioned that there is a lot of value coming from the front end, or digitizing the front end of the journey, but also most of the effort is on the back office. So tell us a little bit about us.
I think that not everyone is aware, but Heineken, being the second largest brewery worldwide, we grew by acquiring local companies everywhere that we go. So local beer companies and all that. And of course, technology was never a priority. So it was all about integrating the new business, making sure that the volume and the sales are coming, and then we will deal with technology. That at the end, the conclusion is we have more than 45 different ERPs worldwide. So you can imagine being in technology, how complex that is. So that is one of the first challenges, because we wanted to move faster. We wanted to be able to scale faster, but it was close to impossible because we were so fragmented that it's not possible to scale. So that was like the wake-up call that we received like 3 years ago before COVID, when we said, okay, we need to do something. And I think it was very important because it was probably us on IT, we knew that that was something that we needed to do. But it was a realization for the business to understand, yes, that's right. We have never put the priority to D&T or technology or how you call it. Now is the time. So, and now we need to change the business to actually be able to accelerate that journey.
That's a pretty large number of different systems. So I'm sure you're being busy with that. And is that driving some sort of business process standardization on along with the technology transformation, Gabriela?
We have decided, because we don't have the luxury of time. We know that we are probably late to a journey that most CPG started probably 10, 12, 15 years ago. But we don't have the luxury of time because we are, as I mentioned, we are digitizing our road to consumer. We want to be fast, innovative, and very close to our customers and consumers, but we need to fix the back office as we do it. So what we are doing, we don't want to drive full standardization worldwide because we also believe that understanding the processes that we face at the local level are also relevant. So we don't want to become like a full global template type of thing. So we have decided, we started a strategy that we call the digital backbone, and is identifying which are the core common processes that we need to have. And oversimplifying the work there is more around finance. So accounts to pay, GL, P&L, and all that is common worldwide. So why don't we try to standardize that and then develop a catalog of platforms that at the end are going to be connected to that core, that are a catalog, again, that we will need to understand what is the size of your country, what is the size of your operation, what is the archetype that you're having, and you have this manual or catalog of solutions that you can deploy. So then it's not one size fits all type of a strategy. And then we're also giving, because we do it, and that is why I use my hands, we do it like the circle. So the first one, the inner one, is the core. Then we have what we call the business platform. So it's that catalog of different solutions that we plug into the system. And then the last layer is around digital product and innovation. So we want to be able to give the countries the freedom to continue accelerating innovation because they're closer to what the customer, consumer, business, or whoever uses it might need and want. So that is a little bit of how we're doing it.
Excellent. Very interesting. And pragmatic also, right? Because you're right. I mean, sometimes we don't have the luxury of time to do the perfect thing. So it's about, how much good is good enough to move the company forward. So in regards to this aspect of the transformation, and knowing that in most transformations, culture plays a significant role in moving things forward, how did you build the right culture between your technology and digital team and the rest of the organization to move things forward in the direction that you just described?
I think that as I mentioned, it was a realization from the business. So we have evolved as a function in the past 2-3 years. We, digital and technology, were only a function that was born at the beginning of 2020, right before COVID. And it was after the realization, we were doing strategic planning before COVID. We were doing the strategic planning, and it was the business that realized if we want to move faster, if we want to conquer faster, we need to do something about it. And digital transformation became one of the 5 strategic pillars for the company. Being the first one around growth and revenue and going beyond beers, being the second around reinvesting our cost and reinvesting different things. The third one, very important, around sustainability and responsibility. The fourth one around people. And then the fifth was digital transformation. So when it was recognized as something very important, it was a strategic pillar, they look around and say, okay, but the structure that we have is not going to come our way. So how do we do that? So we created digital and technology as a separate function, no longer reporting to the CFO, reporting straight to the CEO, and that is replicated across all the operations that we have, functions, operating companies, regions, and everything. That has embraced or helped the business embrace what is the power of the transformation that we want to drive. So it's not my functional goals, it's the business goals that are enabled by technology. So that is the way that we're doing and building that culture all together, because it's not our function driving technical solutions, it's around transforming the business, and whenever needed, technology comes along.
Excellent. Great approach. And seems like you got a pretty, tight alignment between, your team and the rest of organization, plus the recognition of becoming an independent function driving change and transformation. So that's very good. That's very good news and nice to hear. I remember you told me that you have some set of values or leadership behaviors in Heineken, and I found that very interesting how you use those to actually fuel this transformation. Would you tell us about those?
Yeah, we have four company values that they have been around for ages. So are the same four values that we continue having. It's around deliver, and not only delivering, it's delivering our product in general. How do we make sure that a customer or consumer are having our brands at their hand? Then shaping, and it's around shaping our future, shaping the strategies, and shaping where do we want to go. The third one is around develop, and it comes around developing our teams, our organization, developing everything that we want to drive. And the last one is around connect. As I mentioned at the beginning, Heineken is very good at connections, and that is something that we value. Behind those four values, we have 8 behaviors, and I'm going to highlight a few of them. That is the way that we are embracing and helping and nurturing this transformation that we're having. And the first one is around we want to play. We play to win. We want to win the heart of the customers and the consumer, and we want to be present at every table and at every bar. And that drives the way that we want to provide successes to the company. Then the second one is around, again, having the customer and the consumer at the heart of every decision that we take. So we take that very seriously. We understand it's a win-win relationship. So we are very close to understand what are their pain points, what are their needs, and how can we actually help them fix it. Then we also, we grew as a company as some entrepreneur spirit that we had. We nurture that. We value that agility, be close to the customer and consumer, and even understand how the market is evolving. We really nurture that. And of course, technology enables a lot of that. We also value the curiosity around learning, and for us, learning, upskilling is something very important. It's one of our company goals. We track the hours of people invested, not only on D&T, but in general, invested on training and upskilling. And that is something that we take very seriously. And then with the learning, it's around sharing and reapplying. We have operations in more than 80 countries. We are facing some of the same problems. We are facing some of the same things. So we value a lot around sharing and reapplying because that will help us go faster. So that is how we are accelerating our digital transformation in the company.
Excellent. And I always love when you told me this, that you are actually using the same principles that the company has set many years ago, actually to modernize the company. That's a very interesting story. It's speaking how you use behaviors and leadership behaviors to drive the transformation. So in regards of moving forward and making progress on this transformation, Gabriela, how do you know that you are going in the right direction? How do you measure success? How do you monitor progress?
I really love this question because this was something that we struggle a lot around the way. You know that things are moving, things are changing. This is an ever-changing world. And if we don't track what we're doing, we're going to lose sight of where we want to go. So we, at the beginning of the journey, 2020, we established a business scorecard with 25 different KPIs and metrics that we track in each and every opco or operating company that help us understand how are we making progress towards our strategy. It goes all the way from how many customers do we have online, how many consumer data do we have, how many or how much are we enabling on operating profit due to AI solutions? How many breweries do we have connected on Connected Brewery? How many processes have we simplified? How many standard applications do we have? How many hours have we automated? How many operating companies do we have using all our global platforms? How many hours are we training our people? I mean, we have different metrics that we have available every month. And the important thing is being used worldwide in each of our operations to actually track the progress of the function. And in most of the cases, it's not D&T metrics, it's a co-joint effort with the function. So I'm responsible, but the function is also responsible. So we are working together, so it became corporate metrics overall. So I think that is helping us move faster into the journey that we want to drive.
Excellent. How long did it take for you to align on those metrics, ballpark? It was a few months or more than that?
We started with like 7 metrics that were the easy ones to were the obvious one. So we were driving the digital route to consumer. So let's track the e-revenue. We were driving analytic use cases. How much are we making efficiencies or increasing revenue? We started with a few, and then we started adding them because we were proving the value. So it was not around convincing, it was even trying to be able to provide the answers that the business were asking. So at the beginning, it was more the obvious one, and then after they saw the value, it increased. And now we're fixed on 25 for the past 2 years.
Excellent. And I like the approach, iterative, looking for the right answer, the right metrics, right? That tells a lot about your organization and the ability to learn and change.
And I think it has been key because it's around the agility that we want to have. And probably at the beginning we joke around the agility term, because probably for most agility is around speed. So let's do it on a structure and we will see. No, in our case it's more around starting. I mean, good is good enough. Let's start. It's better to start than to wait for a perfect product that then is going to be too late. So we do that. We do the success criteria and all that. And it's a cultural mindset in the company overall. So I think that is proven to be successful for everyone.
Excellent. Great story, Gabriela. Great story. Let me pivot to a different part of your ecosystem of solutions and interactions with consumers and breweries. We all know the CPG industry also have, I would say, the challenge to access directly data from consumers, right? First-party data, as we call it in CPG, is like the holy grail of consumer insights. And to your previous point, connecting with consumers, knowing what they want, knowing what they don't want, right? How do you manage to architect solutions that actually connect directly to your consumers, the ones enjoying your beers across the world?
So, Heineken has always been very good and famous around advertisement. We're very close to our consumer, and we also leverage some global events to actually get closer to our consumers. So, Champions League, Formula One, a lot of music concerts like Rock in Rio, and those things are sponsored by us. And those are a very important source of first-party data. Then we also have managed to evolve our global media expense from the traditional channels to the online channels. And that has also helped us get closer to the Gen Zs and the younger generations on what they want to know, how they want to be treated, and what is the experience that they want to have once they consume our brands. Then we have different sources like everyone else, Facebook, the different websites, and the different connections that we have with the retailers. But then, as we move to a world that is going to become cookieless, and we know that is around the corner, we have been preparing ourselves on how do we provide a strategy that is not only helping us collect the data, which is great, but then what do we do with the data? How do we use all the data as potentially, and we're even doing that, how do we use the consumer as an innovation channel? So that closeness to the consumer, we're testing our products with different group of consumers around the world. And that is helping us shape the product. And especially when we think around beyond beer, which is an unknown full area for us, that is also something that we're doing. But probably things that people don't know about Heineken. For example, in Mexico, we own more than 15,000 stores, the 6 stores. They are similar to 7-Eleven, OXXO, and all that. They're called 6. We have more than 15,000 stores, more than 2 million customers going weekly or monthly to our stores. But we also have a direct B2C channel owned by Heineken, which is called Gloop.
You have most of the use cases in terms of connections with consumers, direct, indirect, through partners, right, through your brand and marketing efforts. I'm sure data for you is really a strategic asset.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a bit of a question about your technology infrastructure, right? I mean, you mentioned you're doing your back office transformation, also your front office transformation, all these channels and data that go back and forth. How do you decide when to buy a solution, a package, right, as we do in large companies, versus building something bespoke for your organization?
I mean, we were in the culture of always building because we thought that we were different. And especially not even the company was different. Our countries were different. So they were fighting around, I cannot reuse that because I'm different. My operations is different and all that. We have now value more that we can go faster if we just adopt what is out there. and then probably change a little bit or adapt our processes to actually accelerate the journey. So we are now more on the lines of buying whatever is available, tested, fix it with different ad hocs if you have to, rather than customizing everything, because then it's harder to scale. So that is something that we have established also, is one of the metrics that we track, how standard we are and how easy it is for us to scale. So it became also a business priority for us.
Excellent. So different kind of question for you now, Gabriela. I know you have a deep sense of gratitude, and every company that you have been leading transformation and technology as an executive, you always focus large part of your time, I would say, in giving back to the communities. So tell us a little bit about that part of Gabriela as a leader, above and beyond, the four walls of the Heineken office.
I think that yes, and that touched a very personal part of me. I think one of my values has always been about leaving a legacy, and I feel like I'm privileged, I'm blessed with everything that I have. So how can I give back? How can I give back to communities? How can I give back to the world in general? And how do I wake up every day trying to make a better world and trying to make an impact, a positive impact on the people, the culture, and the society that I work around. And I have had the privilege to actually work in companies that also value that in different ways and with different approach, but they value and they want to develop the communities where we serve. Heineken itself, and I think it's also very close to my heart, they launched last year what we call the Brew a Better World, and it's our sustainability strategy. So we have strong metrics and strong targets for 2030 on how do we want to shape and how do we want to leave a better legacy behind us. So we have three main pillars. One is around environment, and of course we produce in the environment, so we need to watch out our carbon consumption, and neutrality is something that we're trying to aim for. Also water. As a brewing, we come to understand how precious water is, and it's not only around improving and making more efficient the consumption that we have of water, but making sure that we can circulate back to the world on a clean manner. That is also something that we're working on. And then circularity, and that is where you see also in the industry in general, the increase on returnable packages and all that, because that is also something very important for us. Then the second pillar is around responsibility. And I also find that one very good, because we are an alcohol company. And even though, yes, we want to promote our products, we want to make sure that we have options for the consumer, non-alcohol options for everyone, and even low ABV for the consumer. So we want to encourage the consumption, but with moderation. So responsible consumption is something very important for us. And then the third one, again, very close to my heart, and it's around our social responsibility. So for Heineken, it goes beyond diversity and inclusion. And when we think around gender, for us it's even more. We're a worldwide company. We want to make sure that everyone has a seat on the table. As we want the consumers, everyone to be sitting in a bar, we want everyone to feel included within the company. And we have very strong measures behind that. But then one part that I love is that we are not only helping the communities to get better, we're building knowledge, we're building capabilities in the communities for them to be self-sufficient, and even for them to become local sourcing for us, but also for different companies. And that is something that we invest a lot to actually be able to build that capability. So as you can see at the end, our Heineken strategy is very close to my personal values, and then that gives me the energy to actually keep on going every day, because it's working towards my personal goals as well.
Excellent. Thank you. And we can see your impact even during this short interview we are having with you, Gabriela. You talk about sustainability, right? And in conversations I have with many of your colleagues across different regions, I also see the technology teams and the technology leaders like you are all looking at how they can contribute, not only with using technology to be more sustainable, but also how do they make their technology footprint more sustainable? As all of you are moving to cloud or getting into different business models in where technology is at the core of the business process, are you doing anything about measuring that carbon footprint, right? That basically also helps your company to achieve those net zero goals and other sustainability goals that you have in your agenda.
Yeah, when we started the journey to brew a better world, probably we were looking, of course, naturally to our breweries. What can they do? How can we improve? And how can technology support there? But soon enough, we come to realize that we ourselves as a function, we have a carbon footprint and we need to work into that. So we started the journey educating ourselves, understanding what is the impact of every server, every computer, everything that we do. I mean, what is the impact? And now we also have the goals to actually improve that. We have also worked, it was an internal functional education for us to understand how could we influence and drive the change and the transformation in the business functions to actually have different employee experience for them to be able to have a positive impact on the carbon footprint of ourselves as a function. And that is the part of the process where we are. This year we launched that. We are making some changes around how do you store your email? How do you store what needs to be stored? What can be discarded? What can we do? What are the things? Do we need to duplicate information? Because as you know, probably you have it, I have it, everyone have it. So it's all on the cloud and it's consuming. So now we're working into that. And I think that as a culture, we are getting there. Probably it's going to take a little bit longer for us to actually make all the change, but I think that we awaken the employee and they want to have a positive impact as well.
Thank you. Very, very interesting use case, specifically when you mentioned about looking at, how many times we are actually duplicating information repositories, which, use cloud resources, which, by the way, use energy and have a carbon footprint. Great, Gabriela. Completely different question, right? We all know we are in the middle of, I would say, a recession in the economy. We see that here in the US and in many different other countries. How is to be a leader in technology like you in the middle of a recession?
I think that we need to be very creative. I mean, we need to be very open for change. And I think that is, in most of the cases, is part of our DNA as technology professionals. But we need now more than ever, we need to be able to be open to change, to have that creativity going, because yes, resources are constrained and we need to make sure that we don't have the luxury again of time. We cannot wait, we cannot pause, we cannot say we're not doing things. We need to do it, but in a different fashion. So, and I think that is where Heineken is very good around that good is good enough mindset that we keep on going, probably not as broad as we expected, but let's do it, let's capitalize the benefit. And when we have better days, we will continue. Also, I think that is very important for us. I mean, having this global footprint, then we can leverage it because not everyone is at the same moment or the same stage on the recession. So how can we leverage resources from another country or another continent? And then how do we reuse that? And that is also where the power of the network, we call it internally, is also paying a very good option for us. And that is something that we're also doing at the moment.
Excellent. So we have many colleagues watching this interview in HITEC and in Thoughtworks and in many different parts of the world, and they're looking at you, a woman in a leadership position in technology, which we would like to see more, to be honest with you. And I'm sure they're getting inspired, but all the stories you're sharing, how we're going through this transformation in Heineken, what is your personal advice to those that are listening and are thinking, I want to be like Gabby in 5 years from now?
Oh boy, that is a good question. And I think, being a female on a male dominant function, but also being a female on a male dominant industry, different advices. I think that probably for me, the first one is around staying true to your values, staying true to yourself. And I think that is something very important that I learned very early in my career. Even though you need to adapt, you are not requested to actually change your essence. You can bring, and especially me being Latino, I'm from Venezuela, you can adapt, but you cannot lose your personal values. And that is, for me, something very important. Don't ever pretend to be someone you're not. Because at the end, the faking is gonna end. Also, it's around daring, and daring to be out of the comfort zone. As females, we tend to be a little bit too passive, maybe, and we tend to even hold ourselves back. We tend to say, no, maybe I cannot do it, no, we can do it. Dare to try, dare to actually defeat your fears, and dare to be out there. And the most important one is around you don't have to do it alone. Find and identify your allies. An ally could be a peer, could be someone reporting to you, could be a senior management, could be someone in another company. Find your allies. Find your informal mentors that are going to be helping you actually defeat the fears, reshape yourself, and actually contributing. And as a female, also, and as a mom, please identify your supporting network. You cannot do this alone. And if you try to do it alone, you're going to fail. So have the humbleness to actually ask for help. And asking for help is even better, and it will help you grow and go faster and farther than you would like.
Thank you, Gabriela. Defeat your fears and ask for help when you need it, right? I mean, two great thoughts that I will keep for myself, actually. So we're getting to the end of the interview, and I always ask this question to all our colleagues. Basically, people that are watching this are maybe running similar transformations to the one you're running at Heineken, and they want to get Gabby's words of wisdom, right? To take note of those and put them in practice in real life. Which are Gabby's words of wisdom for any transformation journey?
I think that probably we lead in a transformation, we tend to think around the process, the technology, the change, and all that. And I will say that the key thing is around people. I mean, you need the people to actually make it happen. So empower the people that you work with. Make sure that you build an environment that is actually nurturing the learning and empowering and promoting the sharing. So then you will go faster, you will discuss more, and you will be able to achieve even more. Then the second one, for me, super important in this age. We are a hyper-connected environment. We are very used to the immediate response type of thing. Please make sure that you prioritize your well-being and the well-being of the people that work with you. That is something very important. Mental healthness and all that is around there. And for me, I tend to always say it's not around the work-life balance. I don't like the balance word behind it. For me, it's more around the harmony. Make sure that you know what is the legacy that you want to leave behind, and that the people that work with you want to know what is the difference that they want to make in the process. And with that, you can ensure that you actually focus on the things that actually matter, and then you will be able to deliver the proper resource. And then last but not least, again, remember your purpose, your legacy. You want to make a difference. What are the things that you want to make? And if you align that to the business priorities, for sure the energy is going to be there, and that is going to excel the growth and the results.
Thank you, Gabriela. Amazing words of wisdom from you, and certainly very inspiring. So, well, we have arrived at the final part of our fireside chat. I hope all of you found today's session valuable. I know as a leader, I will be reflecting on defeating my fears and really, building a network of people that can help with, whatever I want to do in business and life. Why not, right? So thank you, Gabriela, for joining us today. And thank you to our audience for watching this interview. We really look forward to connecting with you again for the next episode of HITEC Transform.ed Series, to hear from executives like Gabriela about how they are leading their transformations in their organizations. So thank you again. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you.